There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. It's Sterling and Lorraine. It is Saturday, September the 26th, I believe it is. And for the last 4 weeks on Saturday, we've been doing a kind of, let me get in here so we're situated right more comfortably. There you go, baby. We've been doing a walk down memory lane of our Camino from the first Camino that we did in 2014. I'll be doing it a week at a time, and so today is week number 4 that we're in. And in week number 4, well, just before we do that, remind you that here's how you do a Camino. When you've walked as far as you can, take another step. So that's how you do a Camino, and that's probably how you do life as well. So today we're going to talk about Sunday, September the 21st to Saturday, September the 27th. We walked from a little place called Alberga Renero in Spain to an even tinier place called El Acebo in Spain. It was approximately 125 kilometers with 1 0 day that we did in Leon. So that means we averaged, much to my wife's chagrin, about 20 kilometers per day. Overall, we averaged 16.8, I think it was, kilometers per day, but this week was a little bit more productive, even considering the down day. So, we walked on Sunday from this is set up so my wife can say her favorite phrase down here a little bit. So we walked on Sunday, 25 kilometers from Alberga Renero to Biorente.
Biorente to Leon was 12 kilometers on Monday.
From Leon, we did a 0 day on Tuesday, just toured around the cathedral area.
And from Leon to Biodangos, 21 kilometers on Wednesday.
From Biodangos to Justo de la Vega, 24 kilometers on Thursday.
And Justo de la Vega to Santa Catalina de Somoza, 12 kilometers on Friday.
That's her favorite phrase, and it's also her favorite albergue that was there. And then from Santa Catalina de Somoza to El Acebo on Saturday, 28 kilometers. 28 was our highest ever, I think. We did 28 2 or 3 different times, all of them seemingly in mountainous terrain. So the highlights this week were the city of Leon.
And David.
David, we'll tell you about David. A visit to the hospital.
And Cruz de Fero.
All right, so let's go through these things one day at a time. Most of this, the pictures that are going through here are of a very spacious and lovely albergue that we stayed in on Sunday night in a town called Biorente, which is just a stopping point before you get to Leon.
The amazing fact about this albergue, as big and spacious and beautiful as it is, used to be a cattle barn.
And you could still hear the cattle outside, actually.
Sure.
Unfortunately, they didn't give us a nice steak dinner for
That's right.
for supper that night. In fact, remember the Italian?
She wasn't.
Oh, it was a he, yeah.
He wasn't very pleased with his food. He thought it was awful. I thought it was good.
That's really the only time we ever heard anybody audibly complain to the hostesses about the food. It was a normal, decent meal, but the Italian apparently was used to better cuisine. That's right. Perhaps he should have cooked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Every once in a while, we ran across an Italian who was cooking and would invite us into a part of the meal, and it was usually pretty good. I could see why they wouldn't think this was quite up to snuff. We walked 12 kilometers before breakfast. There was nothing between Alberga de Renero and I forget the name of this next little town 12 kilometers away. So we didn't get a chance to sit down and have our cafe con leche and anything at all besides the bananas that we were carrying until about 10 or 10:30 that day. And we walked 2 5-kilometer stretches after that. How many did you want to walk?
Probably one or
Probably
none.
one. Well, you wanted to walk the one, but
One.
she would have been just as, quite often, she would have been just as happy to stop one stop before what we actually did. But what we wanted to do this day, we could have stopped there. It was a beautiful albergue. But what we wanted to do this day was get close enough to Leon, so that we just had a short walk in there the next morning, and basically would have a day and a half into Leon. So Sunday, a hot day, but other than that, pretty much nondescript day. And then Tuesday and Monday, we're going to put these two together because we walked into Leon and then spent the down day there.
I got some new shoes while I was there, as you can see in the
Oh,
picture.
yeah.
They were so much more comfortable than my hiking boots.
You use
So
them not to hike
I
in.
no, I use those for evening wear, and then
Right.
hiked in my hiking boots during the day.
Do anything, if you ever walk with your wife, do anything you can to keep her feet happy.
That's right.
If Mama's feet ain't happy, Mama ain't happy. So this was our first time this is our first time to go seeking out a special hotel.
And he did amazing. When we walked up to it, on the outside were these 4 stars. And I'm like, you got us a 4-star hotel. He says, oh, did I? He didn't even realize it was a 4-star hotel.
There's 3 or 4 pictures of the hotel here. We look kind of out of place in this hotel because we are pilgrims walking in there, and although it's only a 12-kilometer walk in, we already had the pilgrim grunge about us. So it's a 4-star hotel. Lorraine,
the thing I was so looking forward to after days of walking was a soak in a hot bathtub. So we come to this beautiful hotel, and I'm like, oh, for sure, I'm going to have a tub. I'm going to soak. We go up to our room. We unlock the door. We walk in. Our backpacks are on our back still. So we walk in the door, and straight ahead is the bathroom, and my heart drops. It's a shower. It's not a bathtub. So we backed out the door. We never did anything. We just backed out, went downstairs, and said, is there any chance we could get a room with a bathtub? And she's kind of shook her head no. She says, I'll look. So she's scrolling down the rooms, whatever, on her computer, and suddenly her eyes kind of light up a little bit, and she says, yes, I have one. I'm like, yes, thank you.
2 women's eyes lit up that day.
That's right. So I got my soak in the bathtub for 2 days because we stayed there 2 days.
Yeah, the only problem with the hotel was it was off of the path a little bit, and we thought we'd like to become tourists and just kind of do stuff like that. But we found that it was about 1 kilometer from the cathedral area, and we found that we wanted, because we were truly pilgrims at heart, not tourists, we wanted to be at the pilgrim area. So we walked up to the cathedral area several times, and sat and we were tourists watching pilgrims. So
on our days off, we did a lot of walking because we had to walk
yeah,
from our hotel.
Walked up there at least twice on Tuesday, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did a cathedral tour. Unfortunately, I don't have many good pictures of the cathedral here. We did a little bit of a video. It was interesting because it was one of those times where they put the earphones on, and you could walk through at your own pace, and it described everything that was going on that you were looking at. So it was the only cathedral we did that with. I guess we did the tour of the cathedral in Santiago as well. After we'd been there for several weeks, we figured we had to do something. Reunions. This was the first time we started getting reunions as well.
Because after a while, you start to make some friends that you pass every once in a while, and eventually your conversation becomes a little more, and you become more deep friends.
So we reunited with at least 2 here. Remember who they were? Marlon, we met. This was the first time we met up with Marlon for several days.
And the twins.
The twins from Holland met us there. And we bought them supper several nights before this and hadn't heard tell of them since that. We met them right in the middle of the busy square. And I heard them tell one of their friends, this is the people we were telling you about. So obviously they appreciated our gesture of buying them the deal. So we took a day off on Tuesday, walked around the cathedral, met up a few friends, and rested our legs so that we could start afresh on Wednesday. And how did that work for us?
You tell me.
Well, how did our legs treat us after
Oh,
our day
right, right,
off?
right. Okay. I never know what train of thought he's on, so I'm not sure what my answer should be. But after taking a day off, not carrying backpacks, our legs are kind of like jelly.
It was surprising. We thought that we'd be ready to roll again, and nothing particular. Just that our legs after that day off felt a little bit like jelly again. Um, so it was a long walk on when you leave Leon. There's a couple of choices you can make. One goes out to one place I never remember the name because we kept looking for it, that junction, and didn't find it either time we were there. So we didn't end up going out to these little villages. Ended up walking alongside the highway. So it was rather it was a hot day again. It was a noisy day because it was a fairly busy highway. We weren't on the shoulder of the road. We were down in a pilgrim's path about 20 or 30 feet off the highway. Remember, everybody toots at you when you're walking like that, right? And so they're very aware of the pilgrims and appreciative of the pilgrims, want to encourage the pilgrims, I guess. Um, as you can see back there, Cruiser was making his walk along with us. But some of these days was just really days to walk and hopefully get to the next spot. Again, not a lot of shade in here. Anything you want to talk about here? Leave Leon beside the busy highway and noisy. All right, Friday.
This is Catalina de Somoza. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, we shouldn't have gone to Friday yet. We forgot Thursday. Two things on Thursday. First of all, that bridge that you just saw was really a long medieval bridge in a place called Hospital d'Orbigo, where the what did you call it? Used to have the medieval jousts there, and you had to earn your way across the bridge. Fortunately, they weren't still doing that, and we were just able to walk across unimpeded. This picture's out of order. This was really the next day as we walked into Astorga, so we might as well talk about it now because there are two or three of those pictures that are out of here. When you walk into Astorga, there's the electrical train is going across there. It's rather a wide crossing, and of course you're not allowed to be anywhere near that. So the only way to get across that was through a series of switchbacks going up, and I'm guessing there was about 8 or 10 of these switchbacks. It took it. Oh no, you're exaggerating now.
The trains
Let's
aren't
go
that
with
high.
6. Let's go with 6 then,
He
because
exaggerates.
up 3 or 4 up and 3 or 4 back down. Yeah, so that's 8.
I thought you meant 4.
That's 8. It took about 12 kilometers to walk that 75 step. You can see it there how it was. It was rather an ugly walk. We'll let Lorraine tell you about David. Here's David sitting there.
David was a man who was a total surprise. Out in the middle of nowhere, we came upon David.
Hot day. We were ready for David, right?
And he had everything there: fruits, vegetables, cold water. Well, it wasn't cold water, but it was fresh water. Everything a pilgrim could need. There he is in the blue shirt. Not me in the blue shirt. And
this was just before his place, so it's that type of a day.
He was there to serve the pilgrims, and we talked to him and asked him like how he got his supplies, and he said he had to have them brought up, and we asked about his water, and he said he walks 2 kilometers and carries bucket loads.
Yeah,
and we were amazed at his commitment to serving the pilgrims.
So the story is, I think David was. I think I have this right. I'm 99% sure I have this right. David was hooked on drugs and was delivered from them somehow. I don't know the story behind that, but this was his life of thankfulness for his deliverance. He said that when we were there the first time, it was just those 2 little buildings, 2 little outbuildings there, where he lived and stayed and fed us all. And the second time he'd really worked. We were there 3 years later, and he'd worked a lot on the property, and it was he was really developing that, and it was just an amazing service that he gave to the pilgrims. So David, you'll never see this, but thank you. God bless you for being a great servant to the pilgrims. Then we left David's, went down into Justa de la Vega. Lorraine visited the pharmacist that night. He suggested that next day she should perhaps go to the hospital. So we went into Astorga. We already showed you crossing the railroad tracks, getting into Astorga. So we'll do this a little bit in order. The first thing I did in Astorga was to steal my breakfast. I didn't mean to steal breakfast, but I stole breakfast. We went into a rather nice restaurant because we were there 9 o'clock-ish in the morning, and went into this restaurant, had a nice breakfast, and then we were asking the lady about how to find, we thought it was just looking for, what would you call a small hospital? I forget. It's a very common English word when you walk into
a clinic.
A clinic, yeah. We were looking for a clinic. She ended up giving us directions to the hospital. But she went out. So after we'd eaten, we were talking to her about this, and she went outside and tried to show us directions to this hospital. Us not speaking Spanish, her not speaking English, and we forgot to go back in and pay for breakfast. So I trekked off immediately and went into the. So I stole my breakfast, regrettably. So later that day, we were coming back into this area, or I felt I needed to, because we were coming close to that area to get back on the Camino anyway. So I went back in and tried to explain in English to the Spanish-speaking guy what had happened. Ended up paying for the breakfast. I hope it got to the right spot. I really
Right.
have no idea.
At least we felt better for having gone back to pay it.
That's right. So here's the hospital.
Yeah, that was just a checkup to make sure my foot was okay. Didn't
Right.
They gave me some suggestions, and we were on our way.
It cost. We got a bill in the mail 8 or 9 months later for, I think it was 45 Canadian dollars. Might have been 45 euros. I don't.
I think it was 100.
Oh, 100. She didn't tell me that. Whoa, I'm not going back to that place again. We later met a friend in Santiago that we spent several days with in an albergue with, named Cyril Moran from England, and he was a real pro at the Camino. Had done it several times, so he was flicking through our pictures on our phone. You know how you do, just looking through pictures, and he could tell every one of those pictures. In fact, he had made a few of those things that we had taken pictures of, and he came to that picture of the hospital. He paused and said, I don't recognize that. That's the only place he didn't recognize. And Lorraine explained that was because it was a hospital. Here's your favorite albergue.
This is the guy who welcomed us into Catalina de Somoza.
I think, I don't know if this was her favorite albergue or it just became that because she loves saying
it is beautiful.
Santa
look at this picture.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
It really was.
And that was like an inside
courtyard.
And it was probably the most beautiful one, I think.
Yeah, it was very. There it is on the outside. We sat down to eat outside. There had no intention. Well, I guess we did because we had been so late leaving Astorga because of the hospital visit. We'd only walked 6 kilometers or 7 kilometers outside of Astorga to find this place. So it was an eventful day, rather restful, and stopped fairly early at this lovely spot. Saturday, Lorraine didn't know how far we were going to walk. I kind of the rule of thumb for us was I kind of let Lorraine set the pace. She walked in front to set the pace, and I would set the distance, and I wouldn't always tell her how far the distance was. So this was a long day, 28 kilometers from Santa Catalina de Somoza to El Acebo, but it had a couple of highlights. So
I might say at the end of the day, I'd say, how far did we walk today? And he'd say, you don't want to know.
That's right. This was probably the biggest day that I said, you don't want to know. And she really didn't. And the reason was at the end, we walked across this ridge where this dog is, past this place. But there's a couple of pictures of the ridge up here. It was after we left the Cruz de Fero, which you're looking at now, it was a rather rugged walk, uneven under feet, and then a really, really steep walk going down into the village of El Acebo. Cruz de Fero, tell them about the cruise.
This is a place that is typically known by the Caminos as a place where you bring a rock from your home and you carry it on the Camino until you get here, and then you lay it down in symbolization of laying down your burden. And so tell them what you thought about that thing when
Oh
you
yeah, when
arrived.
I got there, I had decided before when I watched the movie, it was rather central. The way it was rather central part of the movie, and I had and everybody every book you read talks about this, and I had decided that I'm not going to let anybody tell me where I'm going to have my moments.
And especially when we got there and found it so full of
Yeah, so
buses and
yeah, so
tourists and
I kind of had I kind of had an idea. It was out in the middle of nowhere. You walk 500 kilometers to get to this, and it's in the middle of nowhere. But even then, I wasn't going to let anybody tell me where to have my moments. And when I came up to this, there's something special about this spot on the Camino. When I come up to it, first of all, just across the road, we try never to show this in our pictures, but just across there's a highway running right beside it, or a two-lane highway running right beside it. This little chapel's in the background, and a huge parking lot just across the road where the tour buses stop and bring people to this Cruz de Fero. Cruz de Fero means Iron Cross. And when I saw that, I just decided, no, I'm walking by this. I'm not having any moments here. And the closer I got, the more my spirit just I couldn't, it was amazing. I couldn't let go. The tears started to come down my face. And I think there's something very special about this spot where the burdens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people for the years have gathered there, and there's a spiritual energy there that surprised me very, very much. In fact, the second time we went back, I had kind of decided the same thing, and the same thing happened. So the Cruz de Fero, a very special spiritual energy. And then this is across that ridge we were talking about. I don't know if you can see underneath there. I'm going to try to enlarge that picture just a little bit so the next time it comes up, you can kind of get a glimpse of Lorraine, of what she's walking on there. I think this will do it if I do that. So that will come back up in a minute, and then we'll be done with the day and done with the week. There's no, this is walking up to Fonce Bidon just before the cruise. I hope I've done this right. Let me just get ready to move it in case it's coming here. But it really was a rugged. That's not rugged there. All right, one more. This was a little albergue in the middle of nowhere. There's the cruise again. Okay, maybe it's coming up here. Maybe they're coming up in random. There's the dog again. All right. Okay. It's coming. I've got more pictures here than I thought I had, I guess. So I'm kind of wasting your time and ours right now, but no, that doesn't show much. There it is. And let's see if there it is. Okay. All that to show you the ruggedness of that trail for at least a kilometer. Yeah, long ways. And then a very steep descent down into a very lovely communal meal, where everybody helped get it ready. Anyway, that's it, I think. Isn't there anything you want to talk about that week? It kind of we now are in. We're after this we're a full week now after the central point, and so something changes in your mindset, I think, as you're walking along there. That every step you take is getting you closer to somewhere, closer to the end, rather than further away from the beginning, I think. And so your spirits start to lighten a little bit as you walk along there, although your legs don't, right? All right. Anyway, that's it for the week. The secret to commitment on your life Camino: accumulate small and happy events. We are accumulating some more of those things there. So thanks for watching. Buen Camino. Buen Camino. Let me give you just a quick advertisement. You know, all know by now that we work with a company called Alvea. We introduced a new product last week called Celebrate, which is a combination of several of our other technologies into an amazing, healthy product. I'd love to talk to you about that. It's anywhere in Australia, our friends, New Zealand. We opened up in England this last week, and Europe and Israel, as well as North America. Love to talk to you about this product along with our other products. Thanks for watching. Buen Camino. We're going to sign off right now. Anything to say? Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, I pushed the wrong button, so we're going to do that. And